Hello everyone, this is Karen from Sew and Save, and I'm here today at the Ponderosa in my sewing studio, and we are working on our Cat'aPult block of the month. We are on month 8. I can't believe we've done 8 months already, and I'm here to show you how to do your block. So in order to join and to sew along with us, you would need the Cat'aPult folder with patterns and a Cat's Cradle ruler from Creative Grid. All of our videos are on YouTube. Blocks 1 through 8 are up there for you to watch, so you can always catch up if you want to, and I hope you're sewing along with us. We're doing this in conjunction with our Sew What Club that meets the third Monday of every month at 10 o'clock at Sew and Save in Racine. So if you can't join us in the store, maybe you can sew along with us. So let's get right into block 8 and see what you need to do to get this going. So this is our block this month. It has 2 sets of Cat's Cradle blocks. So you have one set down here and another set up in the corner. Then you're going to do a couple of rectangles with some little fabrics in the corners, and bada boom, bada bing, your block is done. It doesn't take long. Let me tell you what you need to cut to make this block. So follow along on your block 8 instructions, and you're going to need a gold square that's going to go in the center of your block. Then you're going to move on to the red, and you're going to need 2 big red rectangles. Those are going to go in your Cat's Cradle block in each corner. Then also from the red, you're going to need 8 of these smaller rectangles, and those are going to be in all of these kind of star points that go all the way around your block. Then you will move on to your background fabric, and you're going to need you're going to need 8 little squares, and those are going to work with these red rectangles to make your star points. And then you're going to need 4 larger background rectangles, and that's going to be part of your Cat's Cradle block. Then you're going to move on to your blue, and your blue works with your background block, your black background squares, as well as your red rectangles to make your star points on your block this month. And then the brown squares are going to go along with your tan background square and your big red rectangles to make your Cat's Cradle block. So let's get out those rulers, start cutting those, and I'll show you how to make your Cat's Cradle block using your Cat's Cradle ruler. First thing we're going to do is make our Cat's Cradle block. To do that, we're going to take 4 background rectangles and line them up with 4 brown squares, just like we do every other month. So flip those over, line up your edges, go over to your sewing machine, sew them at 1/4 of an inch from the edge, and press away from the brown block. Press toward your background block. I now have my brown squares sewn to my background rectangles. I've pressed my seam away from the brown square and toward the background rectangle on each and every one of these. Now I'm ready to sew them together. So I'm going to put right sides together with the brown squares in opposing corners. You're going to make 2 sets of these because we're going to end up with 2 sets of Cat's Cradle blocks, and 2 sets will yield us 4 blocks, 1 for each corner. I'm going to sew 1/4 of an inch across the top here, put my little clip mark right in the center up to the stitching line, and then press them away from the brown block again toward the background rectangle. Okay, so guess what? I have that all done. That was fast, wasn't it? I told you this is not going to take too long. So there we go. I have all of these sewn, both of these sewn together. You can see how nice and flat they are because I've pressed them away from the brown square, and when they lay out in your cat's cradle block, they're going to be nice and flat and nice and even. So I'm going to take these now and line them up with the large red rectangle. So right sides together, I'm going to flip them over so I have my little squares here so I can line that up with my cat's cradle ruler. And we're going to draw our lines and create our block. Pretty simple. I think I can go this direction. I think that might be easier to draw. You are going to take your cat's cradle ruler and line it up with the place on seam line. So I'm going to kind of turn these this way. So here's my place on seam line. Here's the seam that you're lining up with. Make sure you get that lined up just nice and draw your line. Remember that everything here does not have to be perfect because your block is going to be bigger than what you need in the end, and you're going to trim it down. So I'm going to draw my line on this side, flip my block, line up the place on seam line here again, right in that square corner. I've got my nice square right here lined up with my ruler. These lines are lining up with the edge of my fabric, and just get it a little bit more perfect. And then I'm going to draw my line. I'm going to repeat on this block and do exactly the same thing. Then I'm going to go over and sew right on the line. Now that I have these sewn right on the line that I drew, I'm now going to use the 1/4 inch seam allowance on my Creative Grid Cat's Cradle ruler. Line that up with the line that I sewed. Get my other piece out of the way and trim those down. And I trim both sides because you trim just a little bit. There's a little bit left over when you're done trimming. Then I'm going to go over to my ironing board and I'm going to not going to do that yet. Wait just a minute. We're going to do this the easy way, remember? So used to doing it the other way. I need to remember to do it the easy way. We're going to trim this down when it's closed because it is so much easier to trim. All you have to do is line it up, cut once, cut twice, and there's no trimming, flipping your piece around and trimming again. So now we're going to line up our pieces, all ready to go here. Kind of line them all up in front of me, just like this. And this time, you're going to read the instructions, and it says to line this up, it says use the 4-inch line on the Cat's Cradle tool. So the 4-inch line is the last line on your tool. You're going to line that 4-inch line up with the stitching line on your brown square and the stitching line that goes across the bottom of your block. So line this up and your V and trim this off together. That makes it so quick and easy. You're trimming both sides at once. So we're going to trim all 4 of these. Then I'm going to go over and press it toward the red triangle. Line up your 4-inch V, the stitching line along the dotted line. Trim those off just nice. Look how beautiful that looks. And now when I open it up, look how great this is going to look. They're both trimmed up exactly the same. Looks beautiful. Can't wait to press it open. Can't wait to get the whole block put together. Are you excited about putting your whole quilt together? Pretty soon we'll be done. No time flat. And we're going to have some beautiful quilts. I can't wait to see them. So do my last trim here. Go over to the ironing board and press this open, and we will show you what to do for your next step. There we go. Off to the ironing board I go. And here we have your perfectly perfect Cat's Cradle blocks. You have 4 of them with the brown up in the corner, background next to it, and your red triangles. I just love it that my little points all show perfectly. They're all exactly 4.5 inches, and we're ready to go on to the next part of our block. So to do that, we're going to use the little rectangles that we have, and we have 4 red, and we have, I'm going to do them this way. So we have 4 red going this way because we're going to do them going 2 different directions. So I have 4 up here, and then I have 4 up here. And what I do is I generally will do this right next to my sewing machine, and I'll lay out all of these little rectangles like this. Then we're going to take our background blocks, and we're going to draw a line diagonally from one corner to the next. All right, and then we're going to line these up in the top of the rectangle. And this top part, the top 4, all of my diagonals are going to be going this direction. On the bottom, they're going to be going the opposite direction. So I'm going to have some that lean to the left and some that lean to the right. So I get all these lined up, and then that way I can sew them all, and I know that I have them going in 2 different directions. So I'm not sure if you can see my red lines or not, but should have done that in black. It might have been a little bit easier to see. But my red one was right next to my ruler. So all of my diagonal lines are going this way on the top 4. They go the opposite direction on the bottom 4. So I've got all of, so now I'm going to take these over, sew them, and then press them so that the seam goes toward the red on one set and toward the beige, or towards your background on the next set. So they're going in 2 different directions, and there's going to be a reason for that that I'm going to show you in just a few minutes. Now I have beige squares sewn onto all 8 of the red rectangles. So 4 of them go lean in one direction, 4 lean in the other direction, so that when you put 2 together, you kind of get a V. That's what you want. On the top row, all of these are pressed toward the beige, and the bottom row, they are all pressed toward the red. All right, now we're ready to put our bottom square on. We're almost ready to put this whole thing together. One more step. So now we're going to take, and you can't really see my line because I did it in red. I can see it. You're going to draw a line diagonally through all of your navy blue squares. Now, whatever angle these lines go, this diagonal is going to go in the same direction. So when I lay these down, the line that I drew goes from this corner to this corner. Okay, all the way down. And then on the bottom, they're going to go the opposite. So now they're going to all go this direction. They're all going to lean to the left, or to the right. On this, I think I'm missing one. Nope, I've got them all. All right. So all of my lines on the bottom are going from the upper left to the lower right. All right, so, and to know which way you're supposed to lay these, remember that they're all going to go parallel. So the line on here is parallel to your seam line all the way along. Same down here. If they don't, if they meet and they go the other direction, what you're going to end up with is a flying goose. And that's not what we're doing today. Today we're going to end up with a block that kind of looks like this. So line all those up, stitch them, and then whatever direction you pressed the top, you're going to press the bottom. So at the top, I pressed toward my corner rectangle. This time I'm going to press toward the red on these. On this one, I pressed toward the red. On these rectangles, this time I'm going to press my square toward this corner, and I'll show you how that looks when we get back. I have all 8 of my rectangles sewn, so I have all of the ones that go to the left, all the ones that go to the right. On the bottom, all my seams are pressed down toward the blue corner, and the ones on top all pressed toward my background corner. So now we're ready to sew these together so that we can put our block together. You're going to take, and I'm going to kind of line these all up. I'm going to stack them up, and you're going to take one from the top, one from the bottom, line them up together just like that, and sew a 1/4 inch seam. Now, when you look at this, you have one seam going up, one seam going down, one seam going up, one seam going down. Those will nest together beautifully, and all of those little points and seams are going to match up perfect. So go over, iron them, and then I think I am probably going to press these open because you've got a lot of thickness here and here, and that'll help alleviate some of that thickness, and you won't get a little bump here and here as you're pressing and sewing. So go sew those and press those, and we'll show you how to put the whole block together. I have all of my blocks done. They look fabulous, all sewn together. So you can see how everything matches up nice when one set of seams goes one direction and the other set of seams goes the other. You can just nest those together and your block turns out beautiful. Got beautiful V's. So nice. All right, so your gold is going to go into the center. Then on all four corners, you're going to put your cat's cradle block. And that is going to go with the red pointing to the center toward your gold block. All right, and now you're going to add in this block. Look at what it does. Isn't that cool? It is so neat. Just like that, it becomes something really, really cool. Put that one there and that one there. Awesome, right? All right, so you're going to start by sewing the top, the middle, and then the center. The center I press toward the center row, I press toward my center block. These rows I will press toward the outside blocks. And then we're going to sew them all together. And here is your finished block. Isn't it awesome? Every month I say, I think this is my favorite block. I don't know. I think this is a really good one. I love how this design goes all the way around the center. And it's really fun how it all comes together by putting a few blocks together. Makes a completely different pattern. And it really does create a fabulous block. Join us again next month for month of the Cat'aPult Block of the Month. This again is done in conjunction to our So What Club that meets the third Monday of every month at Sew and Save at 10 a.m. So hope to see you there. If not, thanks for coming along and watching our video, and please be sure to like us and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we will see you next month. Bye for now.